The boot kind of sounds like Foreskin.
If this was any value to you, consider subscribing.
There's my director's chair. I will take my seat. You take your place.
Welcome back to Initial Speed. Once again, I'm your host, Phil, and Mrs. Phil is behind the camera in her director's chair. We're going to do brakes on this Generation 7 Mark 7 Golf. It's pretty straightforward to me. Wheel comes off, compress the piston. Well, wheel comes off, turn the steering arm so you can get to the slot inside the caliper, compress the piston, pull the bolts for the caliper, put that off nicely. Then you pull the two bolts that hold the carrier on, take that off. Then you can remove the rotor. The pads stay locked on this vehicle, stays locked.
Hey, guess what? I can do it now because you explained it all. Let's get to work.
Ball buster.
So you loosen those before you put it up though, right?
Always. Yeah. I have the car jacked up with stands underneath for added precaution, added safety. Normally I put the wheel underneath, but I'm going to use that to lean on, save my back. Work smarter, not harder.
As long as you're working, I don't mind. So why'd you turn it though?
So I have access to the hole.
Why do you need that?
So I can compress the piston.
And what's a piston? That's what the brakes?
That's the part that pushes the pads to squeeze the rotor to stop the car. I don't have all of the right tools, so I use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. And I put the flathead between the pad and the piston. And once I get the screwdriver in, then I can compress the piston. You pinch the boot and you're rebuilding the caliper.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, so. As long as you got it.
What part?
Like, what's the boot? I thought a boot is like a plastic covering. Oh, it is a plastic covering.
So this is a rubber covering that doesn't allow water to get in. So when the piston comes out of its home, to push against the pads to squeeze the rotor, the big shiny thing.
Right.
If it's out, water can get around the piston. So it's got a rubber boot that comes up on it. So when it goes back, the boot goes back with it, not allowing moisture to get in behind there. Moisture gets in behind there, rusts. Rust happens, the piston's not going to move as fluidly. It's going to stick.
Got it.
Not going to get any proper brake feel or a proper brake.
The boot kind of sounds like Foreskin.
Yeah, you could say that. Although I'm not sure you can say that online. If you come over here, you can see...
Out of my director's chair?
These two bolts is what holds the caliper on. Once those are pulled, I'm going to take the caliper, hang it up here, and then there are two big bolts that hold the carrier. Pull those, and then you have the rotor off, you change out the pads, and everything in reverse. Gal, bend over and take it.
What?
That's the Sean Paul new song.
Is the radio on?
No.
Oh.
Okay, so the caliper is now off. So if you come over here, I can show you. This is the piston. This is the rubber boot I was talking about.
Okay.
You don't want to pinch that because then when the piston comes out, water can get inside.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
One pad sits on here and the other one sits against here. You can see that they're still in place on the carrier. So the piston pushes this and it squeezes this, which squeezes this. And then it grabs the rotor and stops the car.
Okay.
You never want to let the caliper hang.
Why?
You will damage, it's possible that you will damage the brake line. So this is the inside pad. The nice thing about this vehicle is all of the pads well, all of the front pads at least, the inner and the outer, are the same. You can see that this pad is not happy. It's worn the top and left the middle, which means the rotor, is very grooved, which is one reason why you were getting pulsating feeling when you hit the brakes. She was hitting the brakes and the car was to a stop. That's why. These big bolts are very tight that hold the carrier. So like I usually say, leverage is your best friend. Wow.
Unfreeze.
I broke my tool.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's why I was staying frozen. I'm like, hello?
I didn't realize it was broken. Oh wow, that's quite a bit of force you put on that.
Well then.
How are you gonna take off the other one?
I didn't break it loose.
Oh, the tool broke before the bolt did. Oh well, that's not, I mean, I'm not a pro or anything, but.
So, time to go find I think this is 1/4 inch, so I need to go find a 1/2 inch. We'll be right back after these messages. So in true fashion, I was focused on what I was saying and not what I was doing. As most of you will notice, because most of you, I'm assuming, are car people, I was going the wrong way. Just so you know, lefty loosey, righty tighty.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
Look how easy that goes. When you do things the right way, it's funny that they work, huh?
Well, I mean...
Look how easy that is. Ah, what a moron.
It happens. It's okay. Because I was distracting you with my beauty.
Carrier is off. Oh, right. And the stupid European set screw that holds the rotor in place.
What does that mean?
Man, do I hate that thing.
What? Why does it have to hold it in place?
So, North American vehicles, or all other vehicles other than Europeans, why are the Europeans so hard-headed?
We rock. Leave us alone.
Yeah, for a regular vehicle, you have studs that stick out. So, at this point on a North American or Japanese vehicle, all I would do now is slide the rotor right off. But because the Europeans use the full set, so the thread goes in to the hub as opposed to a nut going on the stud. So there's a screw here that holds the rotor in place. The problem is it's a hex head and dirt gets in there, and most times all you end up doing is rounding out the inside and getting annoyed.
What does hex head mean?
Like an Allen head. I'm going the right way now.
Are you sure? Should we double check?
I just did.
Did you need to phone a friend?
No.
I thought you said it was a screw though. Why did you hammer it?
Trying to seat the tool inside of the provisions, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So this one might get stripped out.
So then how do you...
Now what do you do to get it out?
Yeah, how... Exactly. What do you do now?
The whole idea at this point is a small flathead screwdriver. Smash it in there and try and unscrew it. So I had to drill the screw out. Used a drill bit to pull the screw out. I used a small one to chew up the inside, and then I used a bigger one and it popped the head off. So the rest of the screw is still in the spindle, but I don't intend on putting it back, so there's that. And there you go.
Why is it all rusty? I don't like rust on my cars.
Then you'd need to powder coat absolutely everything. Like Devin Namila, have you seen his yellow Evo?
Yeah.
He has powder coated almost everything, or Cerakoted.
So why don't we do that?
Money and time. Remember I was telling you about how the pad was wearing uneven on the inside?
Yeah.
You can see it was using the middle of the rotor, but it wasn't using the whole thing. Okay, in all fairness, it does not use the whole thing, but more than just this little centerpiece. Like, you can even see that this rotor is completely shot. It's finished. See how it's not shiny in these areas?
Yeah, so, but why?
It's completely finished. You've used all the brakes. You've used all of the rotor. This rotor is finished. Kaput.
And there's nothing I could have done that would have made it wear better than that?
No.
I almost feel like it's a waste of a rotor because it didn't use all of it.
Sure it did, look. Right down to the bare metal.
Oh, I thought this meant that it didn't use this part, it only used the center part.
It was using just the center part because there was nothing on the upper part to use. Now the rotors are finished. There's a little bit of pad left, but like you've used this. Typically it's 2 pads to 1 rotor.
Oh, okay.
Typically.
But by 2 pads, because there's 2 pads there, but you mean like you can change the pads twice before you have to change the rotor?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Use your souvenir. And just for peace of mind, you always measure them up, make sure that they are the same. They are the same.
But what a difference. Like, look at that. Like, yeah.
So another tidbit, if I don't fall over, are the vanes in between the 2 metal pieces. Your Beetle, it is less of a performance vehicle, so it's just a solid piece of steel.
Okay.
This is a little, it's not really a performance vehicle, but I don't know. Anyway, it's 2 pieces with vanes, which allows the heat from the braking to be able to escape. And the faster you can cool this down is the more braking you can do. If you didn't have it, like the Beetle, let's say the 2 vehicles went through a mountain pass, driving through the mountains, and you're coming down, so you're riding your brakes a lot, the Beetle would have what they call brake fade, where you'd hit the brake pedal and you'd still keep going. It wouldn't slow you down as well as it did before, because the 2 surfaces, the pads and the rotors, get so hot they gloss over. You don't want that. So having the vanes in between, it just dissipates the heat quickly, and you get that brake feel consistently, or at least that's the idea.
Hey, that's what happened in that movie we saw.
What movie?
The race car one.
Oh yeah, Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, you remember that.
I do. See, I remember things.
And now I'll clean up the spindle. You really should wear your safety glasses, but, you know. Not enough to grab onto. Time to put the carrier back on.
So what, hold on, where did that piece come from? What's that thing sticking out there?
Oh, the wheel hanger. I put it to hold the rotor roughly in place.
Oh, so you're using that instead of the set screw?
Yep.
What is that? Did I get the name right?
Yes.
I got the name right, yes.
Try not to get it on your hands. It is horrible to come off.
The anti-seize?
Yes.
It doesn't, it seizes to come off?
Why'd I marry you again?
For my jokes.
Yeah, it must be. Where'd you put your pads?
I didn't touch them.
Your car is female. It uses pads. Permatex brake lubricant.
Why would you want to lubricate it?
So it slides smoothly. Lubrication's
But
always
then,
good.
but then
You
is it
never
going to
wanna go in
stop?
dry. What?
Yeah, but how's my car going to stop if you lubricate it? Isn't it going to make it slipperier?
Lubricate the areas where the pads move.
Oh, not the pad itself. Oh no, we just upped my insurance policy, so. Okay, no, but for real, if you're making it more slippery, how's it going to stop? No, but I'm not even joking now.
Woosa. Woosa. So these ears need to fit inside of these channels. If you come over here, you'll be able to see that it's sitting, this metal piece is acting like a spring, and it is sitting in there. The top one is not yet. So now I need to seat that. So I will push it this way to compress the spring to get this backside in that little channel.
Oh, okay. So almost how like our batteries go into the
Kind
holder.
of, yeah. When the caliper goes back on, it's going to go on like this. So I'm going to put grease where these ears sit. So when they move, you don't hear the squealing when you hit brake. To pull the blue, but it's not a crazy amount. And that's basically it. So now you can see the ears have covered the grease that I've put on. So I put them in the right places. And the ears are in. And the backside is on. Now all that's left is I will check the bolts just to make sure one more time. And then the wheel goes on. Put the lug nuts on. Take the stands out from underneath the car. Lower the car. Just put a little bit of weight on it and torque the bolts. That's it.
So I can drive it now?
You can drive, yeah. Sure you can. No, you can.
Without my tires?
No, I mean without the backs being done.
Oh.
Because the front brakes do 70% of the braking. The rear only does 30. So really you could get away without rear brakes, but you've got to be very mindful. You've got to be paying attention.
In all cars or just my car?
All cars.
Oh, really? So why is it
So
to the
enforce
front?
that.
What's the advantage so you don't fishtail?
So when you brake, all of the weight goes to the front wheels. The car dives, nose dives.
Right.
So all the weight gets put on the front. So that's where you want your brakes.
A little bit of like a science lesson in here today.
Glad I could teach you.
So sorry, what are you doing now?
Just checking the bolts, making sure that everything is tight before I put the wheel on. The other thing is, before you put the wheel on, make sure that the dust shield is not touching the rotor. If you forget to do it and you're driving and you hear a it's because the dust shield is touching the rotor. Don't worry, I've done it many times by my mistake. And I'm going to pull on it again to straighten up the wheel. So that means I have to check it one more time before I put the wheel back on.
Okay, I was going to ask what would cause it to move. Like, why would that move if we haven't touched it at all? But I guess
it's a flimsy piece of
metal,
and you're working in this area. So it's chances are you could do that. Like you stand up and you pull on it, or you're leaning on it to pull a bolt and you bend it.
Oh, okay.
I believe I took off the ones off of the Beetle because they had rotted.
Oh.
Like there was nothing holding it. I went like this and literally tore it off.
Well, you're just really strong.
Well, there's that too. Crisscross pattern.
Why?
That way you spread the weight on the wheel evenly as it goes onto the hub.
Well, that was easy peasy. I didn't even break a sweat.
The backs are easier but more difficult.
What does that mean?
Because I need another tool in the back. You have to spin the piston in. You can't just push it back in.
So just remember to do that, okay? I'll be inside.
So
I'll,
I guess we're stopping here. So thanks for watching Initial Speed. I hope you learned something about the brakes. Any questions down below? Don't forget to share this. And if this was any value to you, consider subscribing. It's free to you, but it helps us. Just hit that notification bell, so anytime there's a new video, you'll get the info. You'll get the heads up. All right, well, I guess I'll continue enjoying this weather while I do the rears. And again, thanks for watching. Out.
See, I know things and stuff. My hands are dirty now.
Aww.